Hello, welcome back to On Air with Dr. Pete. Today, I'm excited to have two guests. We got two for the price of one. Eli Libby and Kyle Nelson. They are the co-creators of Peak Fulfillment Men's Coaching. And as Peak Fulfillment coaches, they specialize in empowering men to reach unprecedented levels of fulfillment in all aspects of their lives. They recognized a need for this specific type after going through their own personal trauma. So we're going to learn about Peak Fulfillment Men's Coaching today. Welcome, Eli and Kyle.
What's going on?
Hey, Dr. Pete, thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for having us.
I hope that was okay to say two for the price of one.
It's great.
It is.
It's totally good. We do it all the time.
That. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys are gonna like wrestle it out about who goes first or whatever.
Sure.
I'm cool, but so share your background about what is Peak Fulfillment.
I'm gonna let you jump in.
Yeah. So that intro is actually a really old intro.
Yeah.
So sorry about that if we sent that over to you.
Uh-huh.
It may be floating around online somewhere. So now it's just Peak Fulfillment. We do coaching, retreats, and masterminds. But our flagship program is a Solitude Clarity Solo Retreat, where we have a program where you get a box of items in there. We have workbooks, we have guided meditations, we have a book in there, we have some other items in there that go along with some of the activities and exercises in there. But these people are our students. They go and take this box out to somewhere in solitude. So a lot of times it's a nice Airbnb, or maybe it's camping, and it's a complete digital detox for a few days. And you just go through our program. You go through things like self-reflection, self-discovery, and then vision crafting. People are figuring out what their limited beliefs are in life. Maybe it's releasing some emotional baggage that they have. But most importantly, they're finding clarity. And that's really what we're trying to help people with, no matter where it is in your life, whether it's your personal life or your business life, helping you find a path forward, removing the fog, and really be able to see clear again on where you want to head.
I should have just had you do the intro. I mean, that's where I messed up.
It's for men and women.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
we were just men's coach like a year ago.
Yeah.
But we changed it up.
Well, I love that you changed it up because that's important too, right? We all need that like peak fulfillment, and so what about like personally? So Eli, maybe you can start with your journey about what led to that for this peak fulfillment coaching.
Absolutely. So Kyle and I have been best friends and business partners for the last 12 years. He was my best man in my wedding, and we've done 4 different companies together. And it's been this amazing journey, but through that journey, it's been wild ups and downs, valleys and peaks, both personally and professionally. And back in 2021 was a pretty difficult year for me. In the beginning of it, I went through a divorce. I found out I was being cheated on, and I lost my great uncle, who was this kind of person that I had a ton of trust in, somebody I could talk to all the time, kind of a Northern Star individual in my life. And then our business at the time completely crumbled. And it was all in the span of a 2-week period. And there's not only like lack of trust that's happening deep down inside of me, but then I have to let go and lay off all these individuals that I'm a people pleaser. So that was just like crumbled me to my core.
Yeah.
During that time, Kyle's kind of story is before that, but he handed me this self-guided kind of retreat journaling to go off and do, and said, get out and you need to leave, go figure yourself out. And it was a pivotal moment in my life where I could have gone down a very deep, dark, depressive route, or I could have been like, you know what, this happened for a reason. How do we package this up and change individuals' lives? And if they're going through something worse or not as bad, how can we help them out? And a solo retreat is an opportunity to shut everything off. And through that 3-day experience, I shut everything off. I mean, literally disconnected from everything. And I heard my inner voice again. And I heard, and I dissected limiting beliefs, and I dissected these trust issues. The relationship that I had, and I think I've told you this before. I said this in a recording the other day. And I was like, have I told Kyle this? The relationship I was in before, I got cheated on as well. Did I tell you that? No. I don't think I've told you. This is going to, anyways.
Wow.
I went through this whole thing of like, I have trust. I have these like trust. Why is there a trust issue? So I went and dissected that. And then you hear that inner voice again when you shut off that external noise. And I found my calling, and my calling was get this into as many hands as possible and impact and transform the world. And we've done a pretty good job of that so far, and we're on this journey to do it because we have social proof now. All these students have gone through the program, and
we're gonna break that down, the digital detox. That's important. But Kyle, what's it like to hear you're like learning more about Eli here?
I know everything about Eli, but I guess not. From your college relationship.
Yeah, and that ended because of that.
Dang, we'll dive into that later, dude.
Yeah.
I literally recorded something.
Have you forgotten about that? Like, have you put that away and it just kind of came back up? Or
part of it was like when I was talking about my story and I was recording that LinkedIn
it came back up. That's crazy.
It came back up.
We're coaching him right now.
This is real life. This is real life work, y'all. Yeah.
On air.
On air. Wait, so the other thing, so you guys, I've read that you guys describe yourself as yin and yang for each other.
Yeah.
And so I don't see it yet. Usually, like, I always see it. So like, describe for me the yin and yang.
You don't see it? Or you?
A lot of it has to do with the way that we operate business.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
I am more qualitative. He's more quantitative. I really lead with my heart and my gut and what I'm feeling. He dives into the just the little details, making sure that it's a calculated risk where I'm like, dude, let's just do it. Like, let's
go.
just move. That's really where it is. And it's been a beautiful, just the way that we've done our businesses together in our relationship is a lot of people can't co-found companies with their best friend. And we have we've never argued.
Yeah. There's a lot of
we're closer to each other than we are to our wives. I mean, it's crazy. We've never because we have so much respect for letting the other person just, you know what? I'm going to sit back, listen to what they have. I'm going to process what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time he's wrong. And, you know, I have to know that. But,
live and on air. Let's do it.
We just like having a good time because we know at the end of the day, the business, it's not worth the relationship that we have.
Right.
And it's really special. So
how did you all meet?
We met at a Good Buddies dinner. It was a dinner in Northern California. We had an awesome dinner, and Kyle was making jokes across the table, and nobody was laughing. Obviously, we weren't that good. So I gave him some sympathy.
I was like, this guy's filling my ego. I need to hang out with him.
So we hit it off. We were part of we co-founded another business right then together with a group of 4 individuals, and we led the marketing. We led all the media, content creation for this company, and led some of the direction in the growth,
strategic growth. Yeah.
And it was, you become pretty tight when you go through a startup.
Oh yeah, for sure. You spend a lot of time together. This is probably left fieldish, but and maybe 2024-ish for listeners. But like, I just keep thinking nobody wants this Netflix series. I don't know if either of you have seen that yet. Okay, nobody wants this.
Oh,
I will need to check it out.
You guys have to watch it because it's like there's a podcast story and there's other things, and it's just kind of funny. By no means, you know, it's also anyway. You'll see it, and it has nothing to do with Kyle and Eli per se. But I
just live or something. Hey,
yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
You guys have to check it out. But all right, so let's talk about these self-guided retreats. So I practice Zen. I've been studying for 15 years and under my teacher, and I'm now a Dharma holder. All that nonsense that comes along with it. But I'm curious, like, how you guys, a self-guided retreat, how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So through this program, the reason why we built it, these are all tools, these are all scripts, these are all journal prompts and exercises and activities that we've naturally just used throughout the years. And I'll paint a picture of what it kind of looks like. So you get a box and it says Dr. Pete's solo retreat. It says, do not open until retreat. So first of all, that's teaching you discipline. A lot of people want to move fast. They want to see what's next, but they need to slow down and wait. As they open it up, there's a nice letter note from us telling them that we believe in them, some things that they may need to know that's coming up. There may be some emotions coming out that you're not quite expecting. Then there's 4 different workbooks in it. One's a getting started workbook, and we really break down not necessarily what to expect over the next few days, but what are some of the emotions you may have? Why may certain things happen? What type of moments do you need to look out for that may be transcending your mind? And then each day is a different workbook. Like I said earlier, you have self-reflection, and then we have a morning, an afternoon, and evening prompt or exercise or activity. And then we have some extra bonuses in there that if you want to go dive deeper in each of those, you can. Nice. Throughout it, there's audio notes and meditation clips that you can just hit the QR code and listen to. It is a digital detox in the part that we teach people how to brick their phone and only let an emergency contact, if needed, contact you. But your phone's completely locked out. You can't do anything else. And so they can at least access those audio notes. So we are coaching them through the process as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's a few other things in the box that has to do with intentionality and a few other activities that we have. So some people, rather than maybe they in order to learn that, they need to use something physically to go through that process. And then there's, of course, self-discovery. And then the last day is wrapping it all up. And what's next? How am I going to stay accountable? How am I going to have discipline around what maybe my new identity is coming out of this? Or how do I deal with, oh my gosh, I discovered when I was 6 years old, I lost trust from my father. And that's the reason why I have trust from so many people in my life.
Yeah.
What do I do with that now?
Yeah. I want to go deeper into that. I think I heard you. I got stuck at like the phone gets locked out, which because I love that. So, and then I heard QR code too. So then I was so is there like a technology that comes along with that?
Yeah. So if you're familiar, are you on the iPhone or the Android?
Yeah, iPhone. Yeah.
So you can create a focus mode.
Oh yeah, totally. I got that.
We teach you how to create. We have an onboarding tool that goes through how to create a solo retreat focus mode, and the only thing that comes through is emergency contacts.
Love it.
This is also kind of a choose your own adventure kind of a journey. You can go there and you could be on your phone the whole time and get nothing out of it.
Of course.
Now you've got to come back and prove to your spouse that, like, I just spent all this money and I got nothing out of this.
Right.
So it creates self-discipline, and that's what is part of the program, and intentionality. Yeah. And we haven't had anybody go through it yet and just completely blow off doing anything that we say, but that's how we control that a little bit. But it is up to you. We're not there. This is done in solitude with yourself.
I like that. I mean, because you have to learn. I mean, maybe that also, I'd love to see some research. This is just the researcher in me because I'm a professor, but does this create more sustainability? So when we think about stages of change, do people change more because they have to do it on their own? My theory is they're more likely to maintain this by doing it in solitude than if they were doing it in community.
Yeah, that's what we're finding. I mean, we've been part of communities before. We've been coached from different coaches before, and you get this momentum after you're all excited and you start implementing, and in 2 weeks you go back to start sliding back.
Correct. Yeah.
You read the book, you listen to the podcast. Yeah. And what we're finding is because people are discovering the answers themselves.
Yes.
It feels that identity shift is real. It's actually happening. There's an actual real transformation of a paradigm shift in your mind of who you're becoming moving forward, rather than someone telling you or kind of leading it on. It's all you.
It's all you.
And the debrief calls that we try to have a debrief call as close as the day after your retreat.
Okay. Yeah.
And people just pour out the most amazing experiences and their plans moving forward. And it's usually very emotional for us as well, because we're just so excited and we believe in this person so much that they can make change in their life. And a lot of times it has to do with what we try teaching people is to make real change in your life. It's not necessarily what is going to happen to you. It's who you're accountable to in the next people, right? So if you don't change in 5 years, what's your relationship going to be like with your son?
Yeah.
What's it going to be like with your wife or husband or so forth and so on? And that usually helps it click quite a bit.
Do people stay on with coaching after that often, or is that something you're seeing?
Yeah. Again, for that accountability partner.
Yeah.
There's a reason people go and get a personal trainer, is they're looking for accountability. Same concept here, is they've learned so much about themselves. Yeah. And now they feel kind of attached in a way to us and our program and then our community. Mm-hmm. So the mastermind after this is basically surrounding them with a board of accountability partners that have gone through the same program. The ice is already broken. We all have a shared experience. Mm-hmm. And for people that are introverted, they want to have that common knowledge coming into a mastermind versus just being integrated into a retreat or integrated into a mastermind. This is their own experience that they can take at their own pace and then get more out of it. To your point, learning styles. Yeah. Some people want to just do it in solitude, and it helps a ton.
Where is the line? Because I'm thinking of some of my colleagues who are not open-minded like I am, because they don't meditate as much as I have. And where is the line of like mental health for this? So is there a line or resource where if it crosses over into some pathology, or if you feel so heavy, you're like, feels different than just coaching?
Yeah. Yeah, we're not therapists. We don't claim to be therapists. We
Right.
don't intend to cure anybody from their mental health.
Right.
The way that we look at a therapist versus a coach is this. A therapist is working on the hard, deep traumas of your past. We're coaches that help you with the future. So we're gonna help you create a sustainable path with accountability of what you're gonna do moving forward. Evidently, a lot of people that come through our program go get therapists because they're noticing there's some questions that they asked. They're able to listen to their deep inner voice, and they're like, "Oh, when I was 14 and this bully was being that mean to me, this is actually what it did to me." And it's so cool being able to lead people to therapy, and be able to deal with that stuff, and then all while moving forward, what their vision and path is, they can work with us. So
I think just adding one more thing on top of there, we've seen it go the other way as well.
We have
people saying, "I've been in therapy for the last 5 years, and now I did this. I'm ending my therapy," because they realized that was not the path, the track that they need to be on. They need to be on moving forward. So we've actually seen that 2 times in the last week. People saying, I don't need therapy anymore. I'm dropping it. I'm going to repeat my solo retreat 2-3 times a year.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking, Kyle, when you were just speaking. I was like, I bet I would imagine people either done with therapy or therapy, they just hit that now they do this. I mean, that's the way I look at interdisciplinary care or integrated care. Is it's right when it's right for that person in that moment. And it varies from person to person. I always say to some of the people I work with that are a little bit younger, I'm like, meditation works for everybody when it works for them, and when you're ready for it. If you would have told me at 17 to sit for 3 days and not talk, I'd be, I would have had some expletives for you.
You're nuts, literally.
And now I can't get there. Like, I can't do it. I want to do it as long as possible, and some people don't even understand that. All right. Vision crafting. So I know this is something y'all talk about in the discovery process. So can people go through this discovery process anywhere with this vision? Yeah.
So, I mean, wherever they find peace, solitude, or serenity. For me, I'm a mountain guy, so I will take a camper out and I'll go camp. A lot of people go out to the ocean, like Kyle mentioned, to Airbnbs.
Yep.
But that third day is about vision crafting. So they have, emotional baggage out. They've got limiting beliefs they've rewired. They know who they are and why they are the way they are. Now we put it all together in day 3. And that's one of the most impactful days for setting that path forward. And they come back usually most excited about that because they are just so excited to get going now that they've got that stuff behind them. And they have, a lot of aspirations to start a business or leave their current company. We've heard that a ton. Nice. People come back and they just put in their 2 weeks. It's like, you're moving on now. And it's really cool to see that on that path forward on day 3.
Yeah. It's really big messages come in that solitude.
Yeah.
Strong. Yeah.
A lot of times what we try helping people with is you learned all this stuff about yourself. Now what? And that's where that vision crafting comes in is how can I utilize, really understanding what my purpose and vision is in life and what makes me feel fulfilled. How do I transcend that into either maybe it's the business I already have and how do I get on the right path again, or maybe it's starting a new one, or maybe it's quitting it. So a lot of it's self-awareness and intentionality moving forward and how to integrate that in your daily life.
The maintenance. That's how do I maintain this? I love that you're focused on that because otherwise it's like any fad diet, it's cute. And then what?
Totally.
Yep.
Exactly.
So I'm hearing this is for anybody, but I wondered if you guys, in developing peak fulfillment coaching, have you catered it towards specific individuals or groups of people at any given time?
Naturally, who Kyle and I are is we're entrepreneurs within, the gap between 32 and their 30s and like mid 50s. The founder is who has gravitated towards the program the most because they are connecting. Well, let's back up. Our business is our life, really. So when we put that together, we pair that with an entrepreneur who they live, breathe, think about it all the time. If they can create clarity there and create clarity in their personal life, they're going to move a lot quicker and they're going to have a leg up over the competition, something different that they're doing behind the scenes. So when you ask that question, everybody could use it. Chapters of life, new identities, divorced people, empty nesters, like those, they all make sense.
Sure.
And it seems like the founder gets the most bang for their buck and they get the most, the best outcomes that actually last. I would say that. Anything else you'd add to that? I feel like that's
entrepreneurs typically gravitate to it. They're balancing so much in their life. They don't know how to turn off and like, oh, I'm going to create space to think. Make some actual good decisions with my business.
Shocker. Yeah. So the digital detox. So we've mentioned that a few times already today. I mean, I think this is like a thing now. I was talking to a colleague last week, and we're working on this big project, and he says, you could text me today, but after that, I'm going to be on a phone detox for a week. So he went off. He like shut his phone down for a week, which is awesome. And it's really hard to do when you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and especially in the mental health field, because we have this little like thing about like liability and, so I was admirable. I thought it was just so admirable that he did that. So I like that you guys talked about the focus setting. What else have you seen as far as like growth and fulfillment when it comes to digital detox, or why do you think that's so important part of your programming?
Yeah, I mean, our phones are our biggest anxiety in life every single day, the amount of notifications that are coming through. And what's crazy is we've heard multiple times in people's debrief that they actually start panicking because they don't know where their phone is. They start tapping for it. They start looking for it. Why am I getting notifications? And it's so crazy to think we live in that world today, that people are finding anxiety. And we break down that a lot of people's anxieties are coming from the screen.
Sure.
It's just too much input. It's too much going on. It's too much dopamine, and we can't find natural dopamine in our life anymore. Yeah. And so we teach people to have really good boundaries moving forward. I mean, the first step is you could probably delete half your apps. You could turn off your notifications so they only hit you every 6 hours instead of every always on. I mean, there's so much you could do with your phone, but it's cool to see, because the first day people struggle with it. So the first day people struggle with the phone not being in front of them and figuring out what's the difference between loneliness and solitude, because they feel lonely, they can't feel. And then day 2 and 3, they're like, man, should I make this longer? Like, it should be longer. This is way good. Yeah. And it's to prove yourself. You don't need it.
How'd you come up with the number 3 then? I mean, because I like longer time away too, but how'd you come up with 3 days?
Naturally, just from what we go over, this is a way to be able to reset in a quicker fashion. Yeah. A lot of people, and from just a sales point too, I mean, asking people to take off a week or 2 weeks is a lot more difficult than saying, hey, go work on yourself, do a quick reset for a few days. But we found that, I mean, most people can make that impact and make those decisions within just a few days. And it literally is just because you're in stillness and quiet and solitude again.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a good number for me, but go ahead, Eli.
They can go longer.
People have gone longer too.
Yeah, they can go longer. It's not just 3. They can spread it out, go a little slower, whatever that might be. But we recommend people, if they're checking into an Airbnb, like think about leaving on that day. We have kind of some onboarding stuff for the day of. But you get there, you kind of unwind, and you start going through the getting started stuff. But then you want full day 1, day 2, day 3, and not have to check out at like 10 a.m. on your third day. We want you to kind of stay that whole day.
Yeah.
So it ends up being longer if you look at it like that.
And I love the innovativeness of it, because like I always, in the world of sports, traditionally therapy was like hour sessions, 60 minutes. In the world of sports, athletes don't have that. High performers don't have that. And so you could do the same work in 20, 30 minutes. And that's something I'm trying to train people on and do research on, and say like, hey, we can do the work in less time. It's really whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. Yep. And that's what a lot of this 3-day program sounds like too.
Yeah, exactly.
So the debriefs, I mean, that sounds like it's a really important part, because you've mentioned that word a few times. I'm putting in the listener's point of view, I'm sure that they're, hey, what's a debrief?
Yeah. It's really that initial like word vomit, essentially, when they come back. They're on a high, and they have so much, and they can't necessarily, they don't know how to comprehend and break it down to their spouse. And that's something that we're working on, is kind of integrating with the spouse. But they have so much that they want to talk about and talk through. Yeah. We just become the bumper rails on a bowling alley, and we just ask them the right questions as they go down, and they debrief their last 3 days. What happened? Walk us through day 1, day 2, day 3. What were some peak moments there? What are you going to do next? And it's really a high level overview. Mm-hmm. And then we'll sit down with them again. And that's where we can really start to pick apart and hold them accountable to some of the stuff they said. But
Is
a
that
word
the?
vomit is a great way to put it.
I like that. Is that the mastermind calls, or that's a little bit different, or?
That's the debrief. So Kyle and
Okay,
I
that's
have
the
one-on-one calls, two of them right when they come back, within the first week, and then another one the next week, and then the mastermind is after that. And they're bi-weekly 1-hour masterminds.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you've talked about how rewarding it is for you both. I'd love to hear more about that. Sort of like how have you benefited in the reward of being able to help others in this journey?
Yeah, I think Eli and I, we got really, really burnt out in our last business that we were in. And we had some crazy lows in it and some pretty good highs, but we found that at our age, we shouldn't be this burnt out already. We shouldn't be feeling digging a trench in the valley, let alone, hey, it'd be nice to feel a peak in our life.
Right.
And we had so many people that we naturally coached and just naturally helped through. We're just the people that people come to, right? They were comfortable to talk to us. And one of our mentors said to us, like, you should get into coaching. Yeah. What are you doing? Why aren't you helping people? We got into it. Our first few clients were like, holy crap, this is it. Because someone looked at us and said, this changed my life.
Yeah.
And when you hear that for the first time, what that does to you, one, the confidence it builds, but two, it's just like an outpour of euphoria. It's like you can't even explain it, because how you're like, I did that. I helped you through that. And that's why we call the company Peak Fulfillment, because it's not only helping others towards their peak fulfillment, but every single day we don't look at this as a job, as cliche as that is. This is our purpose. This is our mission. This is our calling. We know it is. And so we want to lead with a name that, of course, is our peak fulfillment.
Yeah. Would you add anything to that, Eli?
Yeah. I mean, on when I was on my solo retreat, after I got all this stuff past me, day 3 was about vision crafting. And I said, how can we bring this to the world? How can we get this out and start packaging and start getting it out in people's hands? And one of the things I wrote down is, I want to hear somebody say, this changed my life. And when I hear that, I'll go all in. And that next week sat down, and one of the students said we had a lot of imposter syndrome around, just really, really early on in this business. Older gentleman, lot more wisdom than us, a lot more wealth. We had imposter syndrome, and it was really early on. And one of the first things he said was, guys, this changed my life. And it was right after my retreat. And that was like, okay, this is something. Dropped everything, and we did this.
I mean, just for listeners, I mean, imposter syndrome is real, and you may be having it, and
totally,
so I love that you guys brought that in, because I train graduate students every day, and they all have it. We all have it. It's part of life. It's part of the process, and it's part of growth. And so thanks for bringing that into this. So path forward, the mastermind calls. How else do you sort of see the clients that have experienced the program? So how would you describe, other than the ones that said you changed my life? I mean, how do clients kind of take this into the future in their path forward after they've experienced this program?
I mean, the biggest thing is staying plugged in with them. That's really the importance of the mastermind. We find that people stay in it longer than what they've already agreed to do, and that's going to help so they don't backslide. They stay accountable. A few other things that we're doing is we're working on a book right now that we're going to offer to everybody. It's going to be called the Clarity Framework. So a framework around clarity, a lot of the stuff that we implement in our program.
We do in-person retreats as well. Yeah, so if you have gone through our program, you just basically get a discounted price. You can still come out to it if you didn't, but that's the fun days. Getting people together, contrast therapy stuff, hikes in the mountains. We're here up in Central Oregon, so we've got a lot of amazing nature and outdoors, and beautiful campfires and things like that. Yeah. Those are kind of some of the different paths that people can go on after they've done their retreat.
Yeah. All right. So as we're getting to the end, I mean, this has flown. I've learned so much, and I've appreciated it. So what, one piece of advice for listeners, what do you got?
Yeah. I mean, don't think you need to take 3 days to reset. Sometimes we can take 5 minutes, and I know you can talk to this with meditation, but sometimes all it takes is 5 minutes to take a step back, remove yourself from the noise, but having the intention to actually create a space to do that. Yeah. And just be still. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to think. You need to journal. Nothing. It can be in a closet. Go take a step back and just see what happens to your inner voice in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're going to start discovering some answers. And you start discovering, okay, maybe I do need to focus here. Oh, it just happens. Your inner voice is screaming at you, but you can't hear it because of how loud everything is.
Yeah.
It just takes 5 minutes. Put it on your calendar every single day, 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think I would say something similar, just to add more to it would be, at least my advice would be, give yourself the permission to do that. Sometimes it just takes you saying, I'm okay with not feeling quote unquote productive, especially as an entrepreneur and a founder. If you're
That's
out
a hard
there,
one.
Yeah.
Pause and just, you're worthy enough. You are worthy of that time, that 5 minutes, Kyle said, and give yourself that permission.
Oh, I love that. This is really great information. Thank you both for, sharing this with us. I know that listeners are really going to benefit from Peak Fulfillment and, for all that you brought. And I know that you guys have your podcast, Biz Bros.
That's the old one. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So that was the long one.
We got a new one.
I know.
I shouldn't read anything. So let me just stop reading. So tell the listeners about your new podcast.
It's called the Peak Podcast. Okay. So that is the podcast we bring on thought leaders, founders, CEOs, executives, and we allow them to share their peak moment, that moment that was kind of the catalyst in their career that tipped them over the edge into their passion and their calling. Nice. So it's the same question to every guest we bring on, 15 to 20-minute shows.
Nice. And where else can people find you?
peakfulfillment.co. Yeah. That's where, or LinkedIn. We're very loud on LinkedIn. Those are the two places. But yeah, peakfulfillment.co. Reach out and happy to chat.
So I appreciate you guys being here. We had some live interaction and coaching with the two of you, with Kyle and Eli.
Yeah.
We had some edits that were just didn't make it through, and I appreciate us being able to model the imperfection right here on air with Dr. Pete. So thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us,
so much, Dr. Pete. That was very fun.
Cool. Well, we'll be back next week. If you have a topic in mind, remember you can follow, and share. Everything is at officialdrpete.com, and we will see you all next week. Until then, spread a little kindness and stay well.